Hey, I'm Laura. Just quickly, we here at GRITtv are proud to bring you independently produced content every day. Now it's your chance to help us. GRITtv has been offered a $100,000 challenge grant. Every dollar you give right now between now and June 30th is worth $3 to us. We've only got a few more weeks to meet the match. Will you help? You can donate at our website, GRITtv.org. Meanwhile, enjoy this clip. First, Representative Ed Markey, chairman of the House Subcommittee on Energy and the Environment, who facilitated the hearings of the oil executives recently, summed it up by saying that we knew from the start if you kick BP in the heart, you'll break your toe. So maybe that's why the government's had such a hard time keeping its foot on the company's neck. I don't know, you tell me. Beyond the lies about emissions estimates, it turns out that internally BP knew its early 5,000 barrels idea was bunk. And now there are reports from derrick workers themselves of a leak that was ignored just before the explosion that left 11 dead. BP CEO Hayward, who never sent the bereaved so much as a postcard until the spotlight hit, told Markey's committee he deeply regretted every death. So why are cleanup workers still having to fight to use respirators? Today, Congress is going to be holding hearings on that part of the story. And all the while, Rolling Stone reports that BP's been planning another, even deeper drill, this time in Alaska. And guess what? It's not covered by the moratorium. Sounds like a time to check in with our oil disaster correspondent, Mike Papantonio, co-host of Ring of Fire and prosecutor representing some of the shrimpers. He's next.
Right from the beginning, BP was either lying or grossly incompetent. First, they said it was only 1,000 barrels. Then they said it was 5,000 barrels. Now we're up to 100,000 barrels. It was their technology. It was their spill cam. They're the ones that should have known right from the beginning, and either to limit their liability or because they were grossly incompetent, they delayed a full response to the magnitude of this disaster.
Oh, Mike, to you, intentional attempt to avoid liability or something else? What do you think?
You know, in building the RICO case that we're building, we continue to build against BP. We filed the RICO case, and Bobby Kennedy, Hiram Eastland, myself have filed a RICO case. And the RICO case is not negligence, Laura. It's not something we're saying they're negligent. Look, here's what's missing. Here's what was missing in the questions the other day on the Hill. There's an article. And the article is in Frontier magazine. It's a magazine that BP created themselves. In 2008, they are bragging about the fact that they can take it down to the very gallon of how much oil is moving simply by sonar. They had the sonar on the site, the very sonar they were bragging about in 2008. They said they had the technology and other companies didn't have the technology. They were holding themselves out as the expert in calculating down to the T on how many gallons is coming out of a spill like this. So we know from the beginning now, from day one, they knew it was 4.2 million gallons a day. They knew that. Our scientists told us 3 weeks into it. As soon as we got video, Laura, as soon as we got video and all the pictures of what was going on, our people calculated. And you know what? They were right. They were right. So all this thing is, well, it could have been it could have been 200,000 gallons. It could have been 300,000 gallons. From day one, here's what we're going to establish. They had written in Frontier magazine that they could calculate exactly how much it was going to be. In 2008, they had the capacity to do that. They admitted it. They bragged about it. And the only reason they didn't is because they knew by the gallon they're fined $4,300 per gallon. So the RICO case continues, even in light of the Republicans apologizing for, poor, pitiful BP. How dare Obama beat up on poor, pitiful BP? Well,
quickly, before I let you leave that, for 1 second, there is an argument now these days coming from right-wing circles, coming from the Tea Party crew. I saw it today on Investors Daily, a strong argument being made from folks who are saying it's a drumbeat you're hearing. The government has no right to seize these assets, the $20 billion for the escrow fund. What do you say to those who say that?
Laura, actually they do. They have the right to nationalize this company if they want. Look, the GOP has this long history. Republicans have this long history of apologizing and cozying up to thug corporations just like this. Go back to the S&L crisis. Who started it? Why did it happen? Ronald Reagan allowed these fat cat S&L bankers, they actually participated in them stealing money, trillions of dollars from mom and pop investors in the 1980s. The reason they did that is because S&L crooks had rewarded the Reagan Republicans with so much money, huge money. Then we saw the same thing on Wall Street these last 8 years. Wall Street puts trillions of dollars at risk and actually loses trillions of dollars for mom and pop organizations and CDOs, synthetics and derivatives. If you look at the money, the Republicans got the money to allow that to happen. Democrats got some, but it's not even close to what the Republicans got. But the money, it all depends for the Republicans on how much money are they getting from the thug corporation? So it's no surprise that Joe Barton and Newt Gingrich and Boehner and all the tea baggers out there are apologizing for this company. It's all about money for them, Laura, and that's why they're apologizing for a felon psychopath company. I got to tell you something. I handle cases this big all the time. I've done it for 25 years, from pharmaceutical to tobacco. I know what a thug corporation looks like. These people are sociopaths, and the GOP Republican types are apologizing to them.
One group of people that deserve an apology, it seems to me, are those who signed up for the cleanup crews and have found themselves fighting to find out what they're up against and to get protection, even respirators. We can't hear from the cleanup people still, but some fisher people have been talking about what it's like to be out there in these waters. Here's a clip, and then I'd love to hear from you. What should Congress be asking when hearings take place about this?
Sniffing gasoline or something. And I still, my ears are popping right now. I'm still coughing up stuff. I feel real weak. The tingling.
The volatile organic carbons they act like a narcotic on the brain, and at high concentrations, what we learned in Exxon Valdez from carcasses of harbor seals and sea otters, it actually literally fried the brain.
Mike, what are the questions Congress needs to ask?
They need to put Ricky Ott up there, Dr. Ricky Ott, who has done more study on this than anybody. They need to ask the questions about what happened in Spain with the spill, or in Habib, South Korea, where they studied the people who actually went out there and cleaned up. You know what they found, Laura? They found DNA mutations. It wasn't just respiratory problems. It was DNA mutations. They found movement disorders that look like Parkinson's disease because the VOCs have the ability to affect the synapse transmission between nerve endings. And so this is very serious. Now, you know what we're finding here? When somebody shows up with a respirator, they say to that person, well, you can't use a respirator. They do it because they don't like the optics of it. They don't want the press seeing this. They don't want it reported in tomorrow's paper. They don't want it on television. So they say, if you use a respirator, you can't be working on site. Now, what do we know about the material safety data sheet? We know that it talks about harm to the kidneys, harm to the liver, harm to the neurological center. We understand when they come out, what I say is they, being BP, saying, gee, this stuff isn't harmful. It's just like ice cream. The last time I ate ice cream, I didn't have to put a respirator on and rubber gloves and a Tyvek suit. This product recommends all of those things. So they need to ask the questions about what happened in the two biggest oil spills in the world that were studied, and they actually studied the people that came from them, and they found neurological DNA damage right across the board. This isn't guesswork, Laura. They have.
Nor is it guesswork. Thanks for that, Mike. We'll post some of those studies. Nor is it guesswork that people in Alaska are wondering, is there going to be a drill like what happened in the Gulf of Mexico where they are? It looks as if there's a plan to have a deeper drill that isn't covered by the moratorium, and people shouldn't be wondering whether it's going to get green-lighted by the White House. What's up?
Well, I mean, good study that is in, good story in Rolling Stone. They talk about the fact, look, here's what a corporation does constantly. They look at the law, and then they figure out how do we get around the law. The case you're talking about in Alaska, they originate on land, and therefore they say they don't fall under the regulations, moratorium regulations that say you can't drill at sea, even though the well is going under the land right out into the sea, creating the same kind of problem. The same spill issues are right there. But this is a corporation. Understand, I've had to sue them for RICO, which is the same thing you do with organized criminals. And I hope the federal government will do it, but I'm going to do it in every state in the Southeast. And so what we're going to find is this conduct that you're describing right there. How do they get around the laws? They'll always find a silk stocking corporate lawyer dressed up in an Armani suit that will figure out a way to beat the law. And that's what we're seeing up in Alaska right now.
All right. Well, I like your suit, Mike. Thanks so much. Mike Papantonio, co-host of Ring of Fire. We'll link to that radio show and more stories at our website, GRITtv.org. See you soon.